Hi, this is Melissa Hood from the Parent Practice, and I'm going to explore what's the value of rules. What kind of adults do you want your children to be when they grow up? Do you want them to be kind and considerate, confident, hardworking, to have integrity? Do you hope they'll be resilient, willing to give things a go, good problem solvers? Maybe you want children who are good communicators and respectful of others and themselves. We all have strongly held beliefs to which we refer when we're making decisions and choices. These are deeply held views about what makes life worthwhile. They're the governing principles by which we try to live our lives. These are our values. They matter to us. We want to pass them on to our children. How on earth do we get our kids to adopt the values that we think are important? Well, when you're clear about what your values are, you can create a clear, compelling vision of what you and your family are all about. So says Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. And we think this is purposeful parenting. Some values are reflected in behaviors that you'll be encouraging without having specific rules, such as being generous or kind. And other values can be made into specific rules, such as not texting on your phone while you're at the dinner table. We might not have an explicit rule about honesty, yet we expect our children to tell the truth. We might not have what we think of as specific rules around table manners, and yet we do expect our children to say please and thank you and many other things beside. So actually, sometimes it's good to put those expectations into rules. Sometimes our children may seem to be resisting or rebelling against our values in the moment. We need to take a long-term view of that. Our children will adopt the values we want for them if we are clear about what that value is. So, for example, I don't want my children to whine when there's a problem, but to look for solutions. I want my child not to swear, at least not in front of me or other adults. So we need to talk about that value often in a positive context, not just point out when they've done the thing you don't want them to do. So for example, don't say, "I hate it when you whine like that," or "Don't you dare swear at me, young lady." Say what you do want to happen and descriptively praise it when it does happen. So, "Could you please speak to me in a normal voice? Thank you for asking me in your sensible voice. I want you to speak without using those words." Or perhaps when you do hear someone else swearing, you might say, "I wouldn't want you to speak in that disrespectful manner." Also, comment favorably when others do exhibit the values that we want to see. So you might say, "That was nice manners." Or, "Did you notice that Jamie didn't just moan at his mum when she couldn't take him to the football on Saturday, but he thought of who else could give him a lift?" We need to model the desired behavior ourselves. So that means talking out loud, perhaps, about how you're looking for solutions, and don't moan or complain yourself, and don't swear in front of the children. It's not so easy, is it? Modeling is a very important part of parenting. At the Parent Practice, we say it forms 80% of parenting. But children don't always adopt their parents' values just by observing them setting a good example. So, I've always eaten my vegetables in front of my children, but when they were little, they were reluctant. So we need some more proactive tools as well. We need to require it of them. So if they do moan, empathize about the problem, and then ask them to speak in a proper voice and offer to help them come up with some solutions maybe. You might refer back to a solution they used previously. And you would require them to rephrase what they've said if they've sworn without swearing. We need to have rules, and we need to follow through when they're following the rules, just as much as when they don't. So we have to notice and acknowledge them for doing the right thing, and maybe use rewards too. Then when they don't do what they need to, we need to follow up, not with punishment, but with a teaching approach. Rules are no substitute for relationship. Parents are far more effective when they stop to consider why kids aren't following rules. Our experience, derived from years of working with families, is that children who fiercely resist a rule in the moment often end up adopting the underlying value for themselves later. A small example came from my adult son recently when we were having dinner at his place, very grown up. He put water on the table and he said, "You know, Mum, I used to hate it when we were kids and you only let us have water or milk to drink at meal times. But now I'm in good habits about drinking lots of water, and I think it's a healthy thing to do." Likewise, my daughter used to moan a bit when she was little, and I'd insisted that she wrote thank you notes when she'd been given a gift for a birthday or something. And that's certainly of value for her now. Although these days she might send her acknowledgement by email, she believes in expressing appreciation. So keep developing your parenting practice. Think about what you're going to do to get clear about the values that you want to pass on to your kids. If you're doing one of our courses, either face-to-face or online with our Positive Parenting Practice Academy, take a look at Module 4, where we look at clarifying our values and creating rules to reflect your individual values, not somebody else's. We hope you found this useful. If you would like other great ideas, tips and videos for bringing out the best in your children, stay tuned to theparentpractice.com.